Welcome to Ken the Disciple and New Dawning Ministry YouTube channels, as this will be on both channels, Ken the Disciple and New Dawning Ministry. Today, we're talking about Resurrection Day, the resurrection of Christ. Indeed, he resurrected. As we see in Luke 24, 1-8, we see that they went to the tomb and they were, it says, on the first day of the week at early dawn, they took spices they had prepared and had found a stone rolled away from the tomb. But when they went in, they did not find the body. They were perplexed, and there were two men in dazzling clothes beside them. And they said to the women, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, but has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still in Galilee, that the Son of Man must be handed over to sinners, be crucified, and on the third day rise again." Then they remembered his words. And the ones there at the tomb at that time were Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of Jesus, James, and the other women with them who told this to the apostles. But Peter couldn't believe it, being a hard head he was. So he ran to the tomb, and all he could find was his burial clothes folded up neatly on the slab of rock. Then we were told in John 20, verses 1 through 8, 9, 1 through 10, that is, that Mary Magdalene was at the tomb. She didn't know where the Lord was. So she saw this figure, and she assumed that it was the gardener. And she said, "Sir, please, can you help me? They have taken away my Lord's body, and I cannot find him." And Jesus, wanting to reassure her, knowing that she was talking to him, but she didn't recognize him. How? We don't know. But she didn't recognize him. And he said to her, "Mary." And she said to him, "Rabboni," a rabbi, which means teacher. Then she recognized him when he called her name. And then we go back to Luke on the walk to Emmaus, where there were some disciples or some gentlemen, we don't know, it just said some men who were walking along the road, discussing amongst themselves what had happened at that point in time. And Jesus asked them, he says to them, he says, "What are you discussing with each other while you walk along?" And he said, "Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem who does not know the things that have taken place here and there in these days?" He asked them, "What things?" They replied, "The things about Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and leaders handed him over to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the third day since these things took place. Moreover, some women of our group astounded us. They were at the tomb early this morning, and when they did not find his body there, they came back and told us that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but they did not see him." Then Jesus said, "Oh, how foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe that all the prophets have declared. Was it not necessary that the Messiah should suffer these things and then enter into his glory. Then beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them the things about himself in all the scriptures. Wonderful. So he started with Mary, and because she was the one most ready to accept the unveiling of Jesus from the dead. And she's rightly called the apostle to the apostles for having run out to tell the others about him being risen. And then we have the scene with Jesus and Thomas. First, they're in the upper room, and Jesus appears to them, but Thomas isn't there. But then 8 days later, or a week later, Thomas was with the disciples this time, and Jesus appeared. And he said to Thomas, "Look, I am flesh. Look upon me. Put your hands in my side. Put your fingers in my womb, in the wounds of my hand." Thomas did so because first he said to the disciples, "I will not believe unless I first do this," what Jesus asked him to do. And when Thomas placed his hands in the wounds of Jesus, he was astounded, and he said, "My Lord and my God." Then he came to realize it. Then he came to know. And Jesus said to him, quite matter-of-factly, "Blessed are those who believe and see, but blessed are those more so who believe and do not see." Amen about that. So, we have that. And then we go on from that chapter, that book, to the book of Acts, where even more people become aware of the risen Jesus.